What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to go over pretty much just like the priority 2 ways that I think you should make on your account, and then also just give some insight on the 2 ways that I've done and why I've specifically have done these second awakenings. Alright, so we're just going to go through them one by one, and I'll just kind of go through like a quick, informative whatever on each monster, right? Alright, so we're just going to start out with Mina. Alright, so Mina is the water martial cat, and we'll look at her skills. Alright, so she's always going to crit as long as the enemy has no harmful effects. So you can rune her on a massive amount of crit damage and attack, and she will guarantee crit. I shouldn't say guaranteed, alright, but as long as the enemy doesn't have any harmful effects, then she will crit. But if she goes against like a wind unit, it's possible that she will glance. And then she'll go, so she'll attack. So you usually want to rune her really fast because she does have 119 base speed, so really good damage dealing swift set is fantastic on her. And you don't have to worry about crit rate, or pretty much just like HP or defense, you don't have to worry about that either. You'll just go like speed, crit damage, and attack, and just try to get as much attack, crit damage as possible. And yeah, she just hits really freaking hard, so she'll hit 2 times, and then as long as they don't have harmful effects, both of those hits will land as a crit, and then she'll attack 1 more time when you actually hit the opponent with a crit. So she'll hit twice and then actually hit 1 more time. So she's technically getting 3 big hits against an enemy. So really good against like Antares, and since it's multi-hits, she could go against Leica, and just anything that you want to try to nuke down really quickly, especially fire units, right? So that's pretty much just the whole purpose for Mina. And she was like completely broken when she first came out, and they calmed her down a little bit, but yeah, still really good just to get that first turn nuke, to get the enemy out of the way. So more of a PvP aspect and not really for any like dungeon running content. Pretty much the majority of people know Vigor, really good, solid, the water werewolf. He's really just good because he just has a really well-rounded kit. He did get nerfed in a couple of recent patches, but to be able to attack 3 times, so your additional damage based on speed or HP or whatever, just additional damage artifacts always help multi-hitters, and then he has 45% chance to decrease the enemy's defense, but for 3 turns, so that's actually really good. A 3-turn defense break, even if they violent proc once, they're still going to have defense break on them, so that's just freaking awesome. And you do want to root him on a good amount of HP, so his damage is based on his HP. Yeah. And then with the skill 2, being able to just give a heal, increase attack speed is always like a really beneficial buff for your team, and then decrease the chance of receiving critical hits for 2 turns, also really beneficial for your team. Vigor has been used in a lot of PvP content, but you'll see in my other videos that I do use him in some of the regular like dungeon running stuff. It's more for probably like the second awakening dungeons and just the dimensional hole dungeons. I do use Vigor quite a bit just because some of them you have to have like a 3-star and below or 4 stars and below, or like an HP type unit and stuff like that. So I just really like to use Vigor just because you're just a really well-rounded, just beastly unit. Yeah. So being able to heal, provide a defense break, multi-hits, and then in HP recovery, block HP recovery for 1 turn, also just really effective. The only problem with Vigor, I would say, is he needs everything. He needs a really good amount of HP, he needs a decent amount of attack, good defense, a lot of speed, and then if you want to put him on a damage dealing build, then yeah, you're going to have to put also crit rate and crit damage on there, but then he also needs that accuracy for the block HP recovery, then also the defense break. So your rune quality needs to be pretty solid for Vigor until you could actually make a full use out of his entire kit. But if you did want to just have him for, I don't know, just like basic use, and then you don't really need like a damage dealing, and you just want him there for like just those extra heals and then for that defense break, then you can just put him on a regular just tanky build, and you don't have to put him on crit damage. So then you only just need HP, defense, and speed, and then a little bit of accuracy, right? Yeah, for PvP aspect, I would highly recommend crit damage, and I guess for PvE running, for dungeon running content, then more of like a tanky build, because you do like survivability is important when you're trying to run dungeons. Okay, everybody knows that the Ikarus, I'm not going to really get into them. Just find pretty much any video on what to do for a Trikaru team. Alright, but I do say that these are probably the priority for dungeon running. Actually, okay, so we will talk about it a little bit. So the Ikarus can be used in Dragons, Necro, and Punisher's Crypt. Paired up with Verd. Yeah, just having your team just take a lot of turns and nuke down the bosses. I really like it just because that's 4 units that could run 3 different dungeons, so you don't have to waste your runes on anything. Those specific runes, you don't have to like expand your rune pool to multiple monsters or multiple units. And I just think that's really efficient and useful. Alright, Lulu. Lulu was incredibly broken when she first came out. They toned her down a bit. But yeah, being able to do an AoE cleanse and recovery on her skill 3, and it's actually a really big recovery as well. And then doing pretty much like what Fran does on skill 2, removing all harmful effects on one ally and healing them, but then she also provides the immunity too. So it's like a beefed up Fran skill 2. And then for the skill 1, it's kind of like just a passive heal. You'll be able to attack something, and then when you do, then it recovers the HP of the ally with the lowest HP by 15%. So all around, just a constant, really good healer. And yeah, she was really good into, there's like a lot of Okeanos and stuff like that back in the day, trying to do resets and strips. And Lulu, you just ruined her on really high resistance. And yeah, had her on violent, she would proc, and then she would just heal your entire team constantly, right? So how you want to build her, just HP, defense, and speed. She doesn't really need attack, doesn't matter. She's only there just to keep your team alive, right? And like I said, you do want high resistance. A lot of people run her at 100% resistance. I was just lazy with my runes. But yeah, try to get to 100% resistance, because that's the purpose of using her. And you can't really use her if she's stunned or reset, right? Alright, so next we have Spectra. Oh, and Lulu, I would say, is a semi-priority unit that you should second Awaken kind of early. Because she... Actually, no. You know what? I won't say that. Build her if you want to, and if you're lacking healers out of your monster pool. But she's easy to obtain. She's just a 2-star unit, and then... yeah, just good into a lot of defenses for siege. She helps just protect your other units, keeps them, like, you know... gives them the immunity, gives them the cleanse, and then just keeps your team alive while you're just like taking down the enemy. Alright, so next we'll move into Spectra. The second Awakened Spectra is actually really, really nice, because the skill 2 no longer does damage to Spectra. You used to have to lose like 10% of your max HP in order to deal damage, but now this hits even harder, better base stats, and then yeah, you no longer take that damage. So I only use Spectra pretty much in TOA on the boss floors. And yeah, I've done like a TOA video in the past where you could look at that video and see where I'm using my Spectra. But yeah, it's pretty much just mainly the skill 2 here, because it's damage proportional to the enemy's max HP. And it just deals a ton of damage, especially if they have a defense break. And then you put a lot of crit damage on your Spectra, it's going to deal a lot of damage. Another really useful thing for TOA, reducing the attack bar of the enemies by 30%. And then also decreases their attack speed and their attack power. Really beneficial debuffs to have on the enemy during TOA. So this is like pretty much the bread and butter for TOA. Alright, so that's pretty much why I use Spectra. Okay, so builds for Spectra, high crit damage, you do want a decent amount of speed. You don't need high attack, but I would say get some HP in there. And then you do want like 45% accuracy for TOA. Yeah, but make sure that crit rate and crit damage are in there, because that is going to be like your big damage dealer. Alright, Kali. Kali I do use in one of my R5 teams, providing that attack buff, a little bit of fluff damage, and then the invincibility just helps for R5 too, so you don't take a whole lot of damage, specifically for Kali. Her skill 2 is ignore the enemy's defense, so it hits really freaking hard. For the build that I have her on right now, she'll hit for maybe like 35 to 40,000, roughly that amount of damage. I would say if you're trying to hit harder than that, which most people should be trying to hit harder than that, especially in like PvP instances where a lot of people have like 50,000 HP, 45,000, 50,000 HP units, you'll want to get that attack and crit damage up there by a lot. But she also is just really useful for giving the attack speed, the attack power buff, and then herself invincibility for 2 turns. Really useful skills, good for like cleave teams, good for like one target nukes. I did a video on Odin and Kali and what's her name, Ophelia. I did that for RTA, and I was just building that team comp, something I got to C2, C3, somewhere in that Conqueror 2 to Conqueror 3 range. By utilizing this team, she'll provide the boost for Odin, do a big nuke with skill 2, and then also hits pretty hard with skill 1. So that's the purpose of why I built Kali. You might have other reasons why you did, but that was the purpose of mine, using it for PvP, and then also helping my R5 team, providing that attack buff and dealing some extra damage. Alright, next we have Celia. Celia, very niche unit. I specifically use it for, what did I use this for? Oh, for the 20-star and under league, and then also the 4-star and under for like the special league, because her skills shoot a flurry of arrows attacking all enemies. You could all of them have a chance to remove a beneficial effect and then reduce the attack speed. Really beneficial for the 20-star and under, or the 4-star and under when you're looking for a stripper to go against the enemy. Multi-hits also really good if you have really good artifacts, and then also you put her on despair, so after you're done stripping you also have a chance to stun. Alright, and then the skill 2, you have a chance to stun an enemy. If there's just one target left, then this is pretty much a guaranteed stun, because as long as it hits it'll shoot 2 arrows. As long as those 2 arrows hit the same target, then they will automatically stun. And then you have multi-hits on skill 1, which have a chance to stun as well. So just really good for a control style. She's kind of like an Okeanos, but just not as good. She doesn't do a reset, but tons of multi-hits, and she also does a strip as well, AoE strip, so it's just really nice. It's not guaranteed to strip, but you get plenty of chances. So a really good despair set, and you should be good. And it's that's pretty much all I use her for. I don't use her for anything else. It's just just that special league. All right, Ryok. A ton of people use Ryok. Really good for with the team up, taking 2 other allies with you. A lot of people use this for like speed clearing dungeons, stuff like that. And then I'll use them in a ton of content for like the Second Awakenings and for those Dimensional Rift dungeons. Yeah, just really good as an attack type unit, providing that defense break with skill 1, having multiple chances to attack multiple times. And then if you kill an enemy, then you automatically take another turn. And then yeah, just teaming up with other allies. So I actually like Ryok in one of my offenses, which is Fran, Lauren, and Ryok. He'll take both Fran and Lauren with him when he attacks. So Lauren and Ryok have a chance to defense break, and then all of them actually do multi-hits at the same time. And then Lauren and Fran also do attack bar pushback. So yeah, it's just a really good combo, and I just really enjoy it. And it's just one of my top like the 4-star and under offenses for like siege and stuff like that. A lot of like attack bar control, unit manipulation, and yeah, that's pretty much what I use them for. I'll typically have them rune, so I have mine rune on violent, good amount of accuracy. You're definitely going to need some accuracy. A lot of people actually rune their Ryoks on really low HP because they're focused so high on attack. I actually like a well-balanced Ryok, because he's still going to deal a decent amount of damage, but he's not going to be my main damage dealer. I want him there for the defense break, and then getting my other damage dealers to actually team up with him with his skill 2. Well, I didn't show how my Kali's rune. It's just a broken set. I do have the will on there, but that's all like R5 style stuff. I'm not going to go too much in depth in that. Alright, May, I don't have fully runed right now, but I have it on high crit damage and just a lot of HP, specifically because the skill 3. So the specific I use this for is going against Skogul. So the less HP, so Skogul's damage is based on his max HP, right? So I bring May in there and actually destroy 100% of the damage dealt onto Skogul. So as you see the skill here, inflict damage proportionate to your max HP and destroys the target's max HP based on the damage you deal. So you try to deal a ton of damage specifically with this skill, and you destroy Skogul's HP, so then he pretty much hits you for only like 5,000 damage instead of hitting you for like 20,000 damage. Just destroy that max HP. So that's pretty much why I built May, was just to have another counter for Skogul. Also really good for the skill 2. You get the counter attack buff, and then your attack bar will increase when you receive damage, and then the damage that you receive is also reduced. And then the skill 1, just a chance to stun. So a little bit of a control unit, but mainly I just built it just for the Skogul. So I try to do a ton of HP, good crit rate, good crit damage, and then just go against Skogul, punch him in the face, and it just makes it a lot easier to deal with that type of defense. All right, everybody knows the Sathan Tattoo. Just using that for the dungeon farming team, for Giants and for Steel Fortress. I don't use it anywhere else. Occasionally, I'll use it. I'll use Sath on like TOA floors when I'm just doing like a bunch of dot damage, and I'll bring them in just to speed up the runs. Or if I'm doing an offense with the Darkroom Reaper, I'll throw Sath in there as well. If I know that's something that my team can handle and I can withstand the damage, then I'll just dot them down and kill them that way. Alright, Bernard. I think I only skilled him up, or only second awakened him for the attack bar increase. I actually don't remember why I second awakened him. I think just because. But I think it was for the attack bar increase. It's 30%. It might have been originally like 25. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I just second awakened him just to second awaken him. And so that's just him. He's just there. Alright, Naomi. Naomi's actually really good if you want to do like a Fran, Lauren, Naomi, Sigmaris, like Crow style like dungeon run for Giants. Really big damage. If you didn't want to like build Sigmaris or Crow or just have like that type of damage dealer, Naomi is just a really good substitute for that single target damage. So 100% crit rate if the enemy's under harmful effects, and if you have Fran and Lauren in your team, you're pretty much guaranteed to have harmful effects. Like Lauren does the heal block and the defense break and the speed debuff, and then Fran does the attack break. So you're almost guaranteed to have at least one on the boss. And then your inflicted damage increased by 20% per harmful effect. So that's, what is it, 4 or 5 that I listed right there. So almost 100% more damage just based off of those debuffs. And then, yeah, she'll put a branding effect on the boss, decrease the attack bar, hit pretty hard with two hits. And then, yeah, the chance of stun on skill 1, not that big of a deal, but she will do that extra damage and will guarantee to get that critical hit on the Giants boss as long as he has a harmful effect on him. So just a really fun unit just to throw into Giants and just watch her deal a bunch of damage. I'm sure there's other areas you could use her, but yeah, that's pretty much why I built her. Alright, Ramahan. I don't think I have him. Yeah, I did take my Rage Runes off of him, but yeah, a really big damage dealer, damage based on his defense. Yeah, deal damage proportionate to defense to the enemy target. If they die, you instantly gain another turn, kind of like how Rayoke is in a way, but yeah, the damage increases as the enemy's HP decreases, so just really good just to try to nuke something down that's already been damaged. And this deals a significant amount of damage based on how much defense your Ramahan has. He also has the strip on skill 2, always useful, and then providing that defense break on skill 1, that could like set him up for the second turn. He also has a leader skill for speed, which can be good if you're using multiple win units with him. But yeah, you're going to want to put him on a really high defense build with some really good crit rate and really good crit damage. I currently don't have mine built because the defenses that I was fighting against in like Guild Siege and Guild Wars just really weren't running the water units that I was using this against. Yeah, so now I just kind of took him off, put him back on the bench. Alright. Ramagos, or Ramagod, however you remember him by. The skill 3, just yeah, attacks an enemy, inflicting the amount of HP you've lost as damage. So he could be down to like 2,000 HP, and then he'll deal like this 45,000 damage to the enemy. A lot of people root him on Vampire because when he deals that damage, then he heals a majority of his health back. And yeah, so the skill 3 is almost like a one target nuke, and then you gain a turn if they die. And then so once you gain that turn, you can use your skill 2, recover your HP by 35%, and get a defense buff. So he's really good at just countering. I would say like Arnold's and other like big HP damage dealers that try to nuke you down. Arnold being the Fire Death Knight. Yeah. So he's just there to withstand like a lot of damage, get punched in the face, and then eventually he'll be able to just skill 3 and just nuke something down. That's pretty much all he's there for. I know there was like videos back in the day where Ramahan was able to solo like the giants by himself. I don't know if videos like that are still out there for like B12, but always a fun video to watch. Very long run, but yeah. Alright, next, Dion. I do use this for like TOA, TOA hard, and like other aspects of the game. I try to showcase for like early Giants teams. And yeah, you don't have to have a second Awaken, but yeah, when you do, it's just better stats. Yeah, I think everybody knows what Dion does, but giving that HP recovery, and then also increasing the attack bar, just like Bernard does, right? Or Megan. You get the strip on skill 2, and then the defense break and the attack bar pushback possibility on skill 1. So just really good for like bosses and TOA floors that you're struggling with. Dion's always like a really good character to have. Alright, Escher. Escher is really good because his base speed is insane. You can rune him really fast, and then he does the attack bar increase and recovery with his skill 2, so he could help your team take that first turn. He does a multi-hit on his skill 3, stripping, doing removing beneficial effects with each chance, and then if the enemy dies, then this skill actually comes off of cooldown. So it's actually really nice. And then based on how many beneficial effects you remove, his damage will increase. And then also doing the disturb the HP recovery for 1 turn. So having him ruined up really fast, being able to do the single target strip, the multi-hits, and then having a recovery, and I think, yeah, you get the attack speed too. Yeah, attack speed buff, and the attack bar increase. So overall, just a really good PvP unit. A lot of people will use them in 4-star Special League, the 20-star and under, and just whenever you're trying to take that first turn, a lot of people just put a really fast set on Escher so that they can almost guarantee that they take the first turn, because to be able to do an attack bar boost, a lot of attack bar boosters like Bastet, Megan, Tiana, all of them purposely have really low speed because they do it in attack bar boost. Escher is kind of different. He doesn't increase the attack bar as much, but if you have a decent sets that are speed tuned together, then Escher is just really good. That you don't have to put really crazy fast runes on him to make his speed really like stand out. Yeah, so a lot of PvP with them. I think like one of the main siege defenses was Carcano, which is the fire sniper, and then Escher and Triana. Escher will give the attack bar boost and the speed boost and stuff like that, and then Carcano could just do his thing, go ham. And then Escher's there just for a little bit of extra damage. Alright, Shaman. Pretty much just got him for the dungeon running and for TOA floors, kind of like Spectra, the skill 2. Just deals damage against the enemy's max, proportional to the enemy's max HP. But Shaman's just really good for like ruins of silent death. I made a video on that. That's the dimensional hole, trying to farm for like your swift runes, right? Your ancient swift runes. So this is really good to deal extra damage against dark enemies. And then he also heals when he uses his skill 1. So healing up your team when he deals damage, and then doing a big damage with skill 2 based on the enemy's max HP. So really good for boss floors. You can use it for TOA, TOA hard. A lot of people use it for TOA hell as well. And then for using it for the dimensional hole bosses. So that's why I built mine. I have him on really good crit rate and crit damage, because I want to maximize the amount of damage that he does. Speed doesn't matter a whole lot, and then just giving him a decent amount of HP so then he doesn't die. Prom, I have no idea why I second awakened him. I still haven't found a use for him. I thought he was going to be really cool, and based off of videos I've seen, pretty underwhelming, and I don't care about him. Maybe one day in the future I'll find a use for him, but for right now, he's just there. Alright, Linda, she was definitely like the hot commodity when the second awakenings first came out. Her skill 3, hitting 3 to 4 times, each hit applying just a debuff, decreased attack power, attack speed, glancing hit, and then beneficial effects blocked. And then if a big thing about this skill is that if the target is defeated by this attack, cannot be revived during battle. So you have a bunch of multi-hits providing debuffs, and then also a chance for the enemy to not revive. So you could take this against like Samath offenses in Arena, or against Vanessa's, or anything that revives, right? And then if you don't kill it, whatever enemy you're trying to go against, then you'll at least provide like a bunch of debuffs on them. So really nice. And then she could also set herself up, because with her skill 2, she will provide a defense break for 2 turns with a 50% chance. She'll absorb attack bar, and then the effect is activated with a 100% chance that the enemy has beneficial effects. So if they have a shield on them, or like an attack buff or defense buff or whatever, then she'll automatically like absorb their attack bar, and then also decrease their defense. Then skill 1, the same that it's always been, just providing that continuous damage. But yeah, really fun thing to use in the 4-star and under league, and just being a big damage dealer. Really fun to use. That's pretty much why I built her. Alright, Shren. If you watch Takisha's channel, you'll notice that he uses Shren a lot. Just a really fun thing to pair up with, really fun unit to pair up with like Molong and just like a bunch of bruiser units. What makes her pretty useful is that every time she takes a turn, she'll even the HP ratio out with an ally with the worst HP condition, and then recovers their HP by 10%. And this is the start of every turn, right? She'll do the big target nuke with their skill 2, just like Kali does, and then recovers the HP based on the amount of damage that she deals. So really good for just trying to provide that single target nuke, and then recover the HP as well. And then the skill 1, same as Kali, possible continuous damage. But yeah, I use this like I said, with like bruiser comps and PvP a lot, like an RTA. You'll do like the 4-star and under league, or like special league you could use her in, but I like to pair her up with like Molong. Molong will go use like his skill 3 and try to nuke something down, and then if it doesn't die, I have Shren Rune to go right after him, and then she'll nuke with skill 2, but then she'll also even out the HP with the skill 3. So she'll do the HP recovery, and then also even out the HP ratios. So just it's kind of like a fun, I don't know, like team synergy, I guess, if you want to call it. So Molong will try to nuke, Shren will come in with skill 2, nuke down the rest of the HP that Molong took care of, and then she'll also heal him back up. So really fun. Yeah, I only built her specifically for PvP. I don't use her in any other like PvE style content. Jolton, I do have him on a defense. He's less and less useful now that like the Animushas are out, because he inflicts 12% of his max HP as like reflect damage when he gets hit with a critical hit. So a lot of people are running like Lucian offenses and a lot of stuff that had like critical hits, crit damage. So 12% of his max HP is reflect damage. It's actually really big, especially when you rune him with a lot of HP. So I've seen some with like 50,000 HP, really crazy. But yeah, when he hits the enemy, inflicts continuous damage and has a 50% chance to defense break them. So you put him on revenge, he'll skill 1, provide that disturb the HP recovery, and then also have a chance to provide that defense break. So it's a pretty good thing to have against like crit using defenses or offenses. Alright, and then with the skill 2, he'll attack twice, has a chance to stun, and then again having a chance to do that defense break. So kind of fun to use in PvPs, but he's starting to get outshined by the Animushas because they don't crit and they still deal a lot of damage. So they could just kill Jolton without him being able to be utilized for that reflect damage. Alright, Thrain. A lot of people use Thrain now for, with his skill 2, being able to provide that continuous damage effect. You instantly gain another turn after using the skill, so he gets to rotate his skills really well. So he'll put a bunch of continuous damage effects up, and then most likely you're going to use skill 3, which has a chance to stun the targets, and if he does stun the target, then he'll get 20% attack bar. So a lot of people use this in TOA, because you'll have 5 enemies. He'll put the continuous damage effects on all of them, and then he'll take another turn, and then he'll stun the target for 1 turn. He's also a dark unit, which is just really good because he's most likely going to crit if you rune him on crit. And then he also has a less chance of glancing hit, which will give them a chance to stun. As long as you do a normal hit or a crit, then you'll have a chance to stun. If you glancing hit, then the effect actually doesn't come into play. Alright. Yeah, so when for however many enemies that he stuns, then he'll gain attack bar and just keep on rotating his turns pretty much like over and over again. And that's pretty much it. So I use him for TOA, maybe some offenses. He's kind of fun to use in Special League, but a lot of people use like will style comps. So will runes are pretty much like a big counter to Thrain, or will runes and will units. So like Fran, Wusa, and Riley, stuff like that. Alright, Crow, been around for a while, big damage dealer. Does the branding effect with the skill 3, also hits incredibly hard with his skill 3. Also does the team up, just kind of like Ryok does. He'll team up with another ally, and then the damage is just increased based on the harmful effects on the enemies. And then he has a chance of defense break with skill 1. So he kind of replaced Sigmaris for Giants, because a lot of people didn't want to fuse Sigmaris anymore, and Crow is just kind of like has better base stats than Sigmaris for like the HP, the speed, so he's like easier to rune, and then also like he gives the branding effect and just deals big damage just like Sigmaris does. So that's where like Crow has come around. I don't really see a whole lot of people using him in anything else besides just doing dungeon runs, so if you do use him for anything else, just let me know. But yeah, I haven't seen him used for a lot. Jubel, I just second awakened him. I don't know where I'm going to use him for yet. I'm not really I haven't studied up on Jubel yet, but I heard he was good, so I'm just built him, and I'm just going to try to figure out, where I could use him, and just go from there. So we do have him second awakened, just haven't ruined him up yet. Alright, Miho was incredibly annoying when she first came out. It's still pretty annoying, but yeah. The reason why she's annoying is that when she gets a critical hit against her, then she automatically counterattacks. So it's really annoying to try to fight it if you're doing like cleave style offenses for like PvP. You can't use like a Lucian or a Shimite or pretty much anything that is like an AoE damage dealer or just a single target damage dealer that you want to ruin on max crit rate. Once the Animushas came around, just like Jolton, when the Animushas came around, they were just really effective against units like Miho and Jolton because they don't crit and then they still deal a lot of damage. But Miho is also really effective because she can't die with a critical hit against her. So like Lucian, even though he hits 3 times and all of them crit, like none of those hits will kill her because all of them are critical hits, right? Like Fengyan, Bastet, and like things that multi-hit that you don't rune on a whole lot of crit are good counters to Miho. And then also Bastet is really good for like the glancing hit effect on her and the attack break. But a lot of people rune her on Vampire. You don't really need to rune her on Revenge because you're pretty much taking her in against defenses or against opponents that have a lot of crit rate units, right? But the same thing as Mina up here, like the other cat, she'll hit 2 times and then she'll decrease their attack bar, and then she'll have a chance to stun with a skill 1. What's nice is that she'll heal for 20% of the damage that she deals. So a lot of people will rune her on Vampire Nemesis so that she could boost her attack bar, because with her skill increases your attack bar by 30% and counterattacks the attacker with a critical hit, right? So you try to rune her on Nemesis, you don't really need a whole lot of HP because you're bringing her against enemies that are trying to kill you with crit rate units. So you'll have that Nemesis to increase her attack bar, and then to also coincide with this, which will also increase her attack bar, this her passive. And then when she revenges, she'll heal, and then she'll take a turn and then heal even more based off of like whether you skill 1 or skill 2. Alright, and then lastly we have Gina, which is the Dark Mage or Mystic Witch. With her skills, her kit is actually really fun. She has a chance to remove the one beneficial effect and then prevent them from receiving beneficial effects for 1 turn. So it's like a strip and beneficial effect block. And very rarely will she glancing hit because she's a dark unit, so she doesn't have any elemental disadvantages. And then if you put her on violent, she could possibly proc into skill 3, and then she'll attack all enemies 4 times. put continuous damage effects on them, and then also have a chance to put them to sleep. So this was being used a lot in the Special League for the 4-star and below and the 20-star and below Special League, because you have an AoE strip with skill 2, block beneficial effects, and then also do big damage with the continuous damage effects, a lot of multi-hits, and then also have a chance to put them to sleep. So pretty much just like a PvP style unit. It was really fun to use in Special League. I did it a lot, and yeah, it was just really fun. She doesn't really have high base speed, but if you have a decent rune set on her, then she'll definitely do some work. Alright, so those are the second Awaken units that I have built on my account. That's what I use. Hopefully this was a semi-in-depth analysis of why I built them, went over a little bit of their rune builds, and like the areas of the game that I do use them. If there's other 2 ways that you want me to cover, I'll try to second Awaken them. You can just let me know. And yeah, I'll try to build some like team comps out of them and figure out other areas in the game where they can be used. If you have any questions on any of the units that I showed, if I didn't go in depth as much as you wanted me to, also let me know in the comments, and I'll be able to maybe explain it a little bit more in a future video. Alright, but until then, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.